Welcome back, guys. So, till now, you have seen about product design and development and its uh, challenges faced and for how the development team will progress and all these things, right? So, now we are directly diving into the AVR concepts. That means introduction to AVR and AVR microcontrollers. So, what is AVR? AVR means Advanced Virtual Risk. So, in this, what is the risk means? Risk stands for Reduced Instruction Set Computer. So RISC is a type of microprocessor architecture that utilizes a small, highly optimized set of instructions. That means it's rather than a more specialized set of instructions, right? So the major advantage of this RISC architecture is RISC controllers have CPI means clock per instructions. It will give one clock for executing one instruction so that it will execute the instruction much faster. So it also has a excellent pipelining technique that allows for simultaneous execution of parts or stages or instructions. So once we go deep into the microcontrollers, then you may know what the risk is. So here in our course, we'll majorly deal with Atmega 16. So it is a low power CMOS 8-bit microcontroller based on AVR enhanced RISC architecture. So these are the specifications. The throughput of AVR Atmega 16 is about 1 million instruction per second or megahertz per megahertz. So generally this Atmega 16 has 32 general purpose working registers and has a rich instruction set. So it has a powerful instruction so that it will perform complex tasks. So these are the features of AVR. Coming to our Atmega 16 microcontroller, it follows it has a Harvard architecture, which is very well balanced architecture, and it is a 8-bit microcontroller. It will give us a high performance. That means, as you already seen, that 16 million instructions per second in 16 megahertz, and it has a large program memory. And it's EEPROM. EEPROM is nothing but electrically erasable programmable memory, and it is a non-volatile memory. So it has a major advantage. So in our Atmega 16, we have two 8-bit and one 16-bit timers. So with total a number of 4 PWM channels. So here you may have a doubt on what is PWM. PWM means pulse width modulation channels. So and also one more feature is that it has 8-bit, it has 10-bit ADC, and ADC has 8 channels. And also our Atmega 16 will follow a series of communication protocols, serial communication protocol. In serial communication, what is serial communication protocol? Serial communication protocol is nothing but a transfer of data bit by bit in a sequential manner. And there are some protocols which comes under serial communication protocols. So these are the protocols: UART, I2C, SPI. So our Atmega 16 microcontroller will also support these 3 protocols. So this is the pinout of the Atmega 16 microcontroller, as you can see in the figure. In our Atmega 16 microcontroller, we have 4 ports: port A, port B, port C, and port D. So every port has 8 pins, which is used for general purpose input output resistors. And each and every pin has a second function also that we'll discuss in shortly. So port B this is the 8 pins which will be dedicated to the port B, and this is port D and port A and port C. See, port, if you want to know the pin of port A, here the naming will be like this: PA0, PA1, PA2, these all things. And the pins of port A will have the secondary functions or ADC. It will convert the analog to digital conversions, which is used for taking analog inputs, sorry. And coming to the ports, the pin B, it has also several multifunctions. And here PB0, which is nothing but it will act as a timer. As I have said that our Atmega 16 has 2 timers, T0 and T1, and this is for interrupt, comparator interrupt, and coming to SSPB4, it is a slave select which will be used for communication protocol. So when moving deep into our course, we may have the concepts like master slave concepts. So if you want to communicate this device to the another device, so these two devices must communicate each other. So at that time, one will be acting as a master and one will be acting as a slave. So why master slave? Because the slave will do what master commands. So here in this our case also it will do like that only. So SS means slave select. So MOSI and MISO, these are the two pins which are used for SPI communication. MOSI means master out slave in, and MISO means master in slave out. So MOSI is responsible for sending commands from master to the slave, and MISO is responsible for receiving commands from the slave to the master because it supports a bidirectional communication. And this is the reset pin and VCC ground XT, and this pin is XTAL, and XTAL is nothing but a crystal oscillator for producing clock cycles. And coming to pins in the port D, RX and TX, which are receiver and transmitter and receiver, responsible for UART communication. These are the two interrupts, INT0 and INT1. And these are also, wait a minute. And oh yes, okay. And these are the two pins which are responsible for timer output, and we'll compare that timer to the match input. And this is a reference. We can give a reference voltage to this pin, and this is a ground pin, and this is the VCC pin, which is responsible for giving power to the all. These are the pins in the port C. Right, in port C also we have 8 pins, and this is C0 and C1. These are responsible for SCL and SCA, responsible for ITC communication. And next TCK and TMS, TD0 and TDA. These are responsible for JTAG interfacing. And TOS C2 and TOS C1 is the timer oscillators. Okay, we'll use all the pins in our future course. So let's move into the next slide. So what are the tools required? So right now, I'm telling in the video slide. So we are going for simulations. So for simulating, you need to program the code and also you need to simulate. So for these things, we have a separate softwares. And these are the two things, Atmel Studio and Proteus. Atmel Studio is responsible for compiling the codes. So you will write the codes in Atmel Studio. And Proteus is a simulation tool in which you can design the circuits, simulate the circuits, and also you can lay out the PCB layouts, and you can also design the PCB. And it has an excellent feature that it will give you the 3D visualizer also. Okay, these are the basic things which are required for implementing our Atmel 16. So these are the most important points to be noted while you are programming. So first point is port. So as you have already seen that each group has 8 pins used for exchanging data with external world. So almost all registers are 8 bits and some registers are 16 bits. So in port related registers, every bit corresponds to one pin of the port. So if the bit 0 corresponds to pin 0 and bit 0 corresponds to pin 1, etc. So remember direct one-to-one correspondence between hex and binary numbers. So for suppose if you declare that 0xFF, Here is the hexadecimal. So F means 4 ones and another F means 4 ones. So try to correspond these values to the 8 pin port. So for suppose if you have C port, so C port has 8 pins starting from the 0 to 7. So 0, 1, 2, 3 up to 7. So if I have declared 0xFF, then all pins are declared high. So if you want to make only certain pins high and make certain pins low, then you can declare like this: A. That means 1010 and 1010. So in this, pin 1, 3, 5, and 7 are declared as high, and remaining pins are remains in low. If you want to declare only 0th pin and 4th pin, then you may give like this: 1, 1, 0, 0, 0, 1. That means this is the 4th pin, and 0, 0, 0, 1. This is the 0th pin. So in this way, you can make the pins high, low, right? So coming to the input output basics. So the basic thing is, if you know how you can, if you know about how to take inputs and how to give output means, then major part of the portion will be completed. Then you can go for projects by using these Admiral system microcontroller. So for input output, in our input output basics, we have majorly three registers: DDRX, port RX, pin X. DDRX is data direction register, port X, and pin X. So DDRX is used for configuring the pin, whether it is used for output or whether it is used for taking input, right? If you want to declare this particular pin for taking input or for taking output, you need to initially you have to declare it with DDRX. So coming to the next register, port RX. So this register is used for writing the values to the port pins in output mode, right? So simply we can say that port RX is used for giving output and pin X is used for reading inputs. So here X is nothing but A, comma B, comma C, comma D, which are ports. See here, data direction register. If you declare DDRX dot N equals to 0, that means you can declare, that means you are declaring that pin will be as input. That pin is in input mode. If you write like this, then you are declaring that this pin will be acting as output mode. Okay, so these are the examples. To make all pins of port A as input pins, that means all 8 pins of port A will be remains in 0. So this is how you can declare like this. So if you want to make all pins of port A as output pins, then you can declare like this, making all the pins to 1. If you want to declare only 4 pins for taking input and 4 pins for giving output means, you can declare like this. Clear? Next, pin register. Pin register is used to read data from the port pins. That means it is used for taking inputs. Okay, so before declaring the pin register, you need to declare the mode of the pin. That means before writing the pin register, before writing the pin configuration, you need to use the DDRX for declaring the mode of the pin. Then only you can write this. So first set DDRX to 0, then use pinx to read the value. So if pinx is read, when port is configured as output, it will give you data that means has been output on port. So there are two input modes, tri-state input and pull-up input, and this will be seen in shortly. Next, coming to port register, which is used for giving out. So for data output, when port is configured as output, so writing to port XN will immediately change the state of port pins according to the given value. So, but do not forget to load DDRX with appropriate value, okay? So these are the examples to make 0xFF data on PB. That means you are making all the pins as output mode. So then you can give the output by writing like this: port B equals to 0xFF. Write data on port. Okay. So next, port register can also be used for this, for configuring pin as tri-state or pull-up, and port is configured as input. So when port is configured as input, that means DDRX equals to 1, then port Xn controls the internal pull-up register. So if you declare port Xn equals to 1, that means it enables the pull-up for nth bit. If port Xn equals to 0, that means disables pull-up for nth bit. Okay. So what is pull-up? Just think. What do you mean by pull-up? So let me explain you with an example. Let's say you have a microcontroller unit with one pin configured as input. Okay. If there is nothing connected to the pin and your program reads the pin, the state of the pin will be high or low because we declared nothing whether this pin should act like this or not. So in such situation, this phenomena, this situation will be called as floating. So you can't decide. It can't decide whether this pin will be declared as input or output modes. So to prevent this unknown state, a pull-up or pull-down resistor will ensure that the pin is in either a high or low state. Okay. So this is the example to make PA as input with pull-ups enabled and read data from port A. So first you will declare DDRA equals to 0x00, making port as input, and port A equals to 0xFF, enable all pull-ups. Then if you declare Y equals to pin A, that means read data from port to pins. And to make PB as tri-stated input, so initially you will declare DDIP equals to 00, making ports as input mode. So if you want to disable the pull-ups, then it will be tri-stated. So port B equals to, if you declare port B equals to 0x00, then automatically it will disable the pull-ups and make it as a tri-state. So what is pull-up? As I have already said, that pull-up resistor is used to ensure that tri-state input always reads high when it is not driven by any external circuitry. So pull-ups are very important when you are using tri-state input buffers. So pin state changes rapidly and this change is unpredictable. So for that we are using pull-ups as I have given in the previous example. Okay. So this is the summary till what I have said now. So you can refer this table. These are the register bits DDRX, PortX, and PinX. If DDRX equals to 0, if PortX equals to 0, then if you read the bits, then it will be stated as tri-stated input. Then if you declare DDRX equal to 1, PortX equal to 1, if you read the bits, then it will be called as, it will be acting as a pull-up input. If you want to give output, then you have to set DDR to 1, and then you can directly use the PortX register for giving the outputs, right? So this is the exercise which I am giving you. So first, solve these problems, and the answers also will be displayed in the next slide. These are the answers. First, try these things on your own, and then take reference from the internet, and then compare it with these solutions. Right? So these are the basics of Atmega 16 microcontroller. So next we'll move to the interface of interface of software like Atmel Studio, Proteus, how it works, and all these things. And then we'll move to the basic programming about LED blinking, switch, and all these things. So before going to all those things, you need to practice these things. Always keep in mind input, output basics, and registers, how it will be used and where it will be used and how to write the program and all these things, right? Be prepared while coming to the next class, and we'll meet in the next class. Thank you. So guys, now we are going to see about the tools, how it works, how it will be used. And the tools are Hetman Studio and Proteus. Hetman Studio is used for compiling your codes, developing your codes, writing programs, and debugging the code. And the Proteus is used for simulation of our circuits and designing the PCB layouts, right? So once you have installed Atma Studio from the internet, and it is a licensed version also. So once you have installed it, just add AVR dude. That means you're responsible for all the microcontrollers which will work on your software. So these are the built-in packages. So you need to add these to the Atman Studio. That means you just click avr2.exe file. If you run this, then automatically it will get added. So once you open the icon of the Atman Studio, then this window will appear. So if you want to start a new project, then click on new project. Here we have three types of templates: C or C++, assembler, Atman Studio solution. So we are majorly writing codes in C language. So here we have five options. That means ASF board project, static library project, C++, executable, and C++ static library. So as we are working on C language, so just click on GCC C executable project. Here you can name the project as you like. So I'm writing it as demo. Then just click OK. Then a new window will appear. Here as a list of all microcontrollers available. So just select the microcontroller which you are using right now. So as we are using Atmega 16. So here we have Atmega 16, and once if you click, then we have these options. That means data sheets and supportable tools, all this. So data sheets is an important one for doing any microcontroller projects. That means data sheets have all the information, specifications, features about specified microcontroller. Every microcontroller has its own data sheets, not only microcontroller. Every device has their own data sheets. So just prefer data sheets. Okay, so here if you click the data sheets, then automatically the link will open so that you can download the data sheets here itself. So coming back, so if you click OK, then this window will be open. Right, here is the area you can write the code, developing the code. Then these are the options: edit, view, and there are some options, and build. Once if you done with the code, then you just compile the code for if you have any errors. So after writing the code, you just here click on build and then build solution. Then it will build the solution and it will display you whether your code have any errors or not. Okay, so let's write basic LED blinking code. Okay, so this is the header file supportable for AVR statements. That means port, DDRX, and all these things. So here now I am including a hash include util delay.h. So why this header file means we can produce some delay. So coming to the int main, this is the main function, and you can also create many more functions. Okay, and why while means we continuous running of the code. Okay, so okay, I want to connect the LED to port A of 0th pin. Okay. So first what you need to do, you need to set the data direction register of the required pin of the port. Okay. So here I am writing DDRX. Sorry, X means port A equals to 0x01. Okay, here I'm making the 0th pin of port A, and then coming to the while loop. So I want to make the pin 0. I want to make 0th pin of port A as high. So what I need to do, port A equals to 0x01. Okay. So now I want to produce some delay. And this delay will be in microseconds. And then again, I'm turning off the LED. And then I'm again giving delay. Okay, this is a basic code. So here what it will do is I'm turning on the LED and making it the state for 2 seconds or 2 microseconds. So the LED will on for 2 microseconds and then LED will again off for 2 microseconds, and while means this continuous loop. So the LED will always on and off, on, off. So it means it's got a blinking. So here I forgot to mention that you need to mention the frequency crystal. That means hash define we have to create the top itself. Hash define f CPU for suppose 8 megahertz. Okay, so we are done with the code, basic LED blinking code. So next you need to check for errors. That means you need to compile the code. So just go to the build and click build solution. So here I am getting some errors. So as I forgot to mention port A. Again, I'm building solution. Yes, succeeded. Right? This is how you need to write the code and you need to build the solution. And you will check for the errors and all these things. So next we are going to Proteus. So okay, I am clicking on Proteus, and Proteus also you need to download it from the internet, and it is not an open source software. So as I have said, the Proteus is exclusively for this simulation. And yeah, if you click the icon, this window will appear. Then you click on the new project. It will take some time initially. So while recording this video, the version of the Proteus is 8.11. So I'm not just creating a new project, I'm just opening schematic. So this is how the schematic window will be. So these are the options, and I will tell you each and every option. So this is nothing but run and stopping the simulation. And now let's say this is selection mode, this is component mode. So in component mode, you need to place all your components using in a experiment or project. The subcircuit mode, this is terminal mode, which will have default terminals, input, output, power, ground, and all these things. And this is a graphical mode, active pop mode, generator mode. So we'll use all these modes one by one. So let's get into this. So once if you click here component mode, then if you click P, then a window will open. Then just click at Mega 16. Mega 16. Yes, here you have at Mega 16. So if you click OK, then automatically this component will be added to the list. So after at Mega 16, you just need have LED. So yes, this is the LED. And then if you click OK, so at Mega 16 LED will be added to our list. Then if you click here, if you drag it here, our at Mega 16 microcontroller will get pasted here. Then if you click here, so these are our components. And again, so here we have, so in the terminal mode we have ground. So the LCD will be connected to ground, right? And just zoom the circuit. Right. This is how it looks like. So here, these are the port A pins. So PS0. So just drag here and make the reverse one. So here like this. So just connect LED to the pin number 40. Okay. And then to the ground. Okay, this is our basic just LED. So how to run this? Because we have written the programming at Atman Studio, but we are not right. But here in the simulation, we do not have code. So for that, you just need to add the file. So if you click here, this is the program file. Okay. In Atman Studio, while you are building the code, that means while you are compiling the code, it will automatically create the hex file. And you need to copy that hex file into this column, into this row. Okay. So you can directly add the path. So once I'm getting back, I need to check the path where it is stored. So this is the path of our program file will be stored. So F programs. So I am pasting it here. So this is the code for generated files. Then if you go to debug, so we have the .x file. So this is the .x file. Okay. So just remember the location and then so just browse it. This PC, escape, programs, demo, debug, SCR.x. And then click OK. Now just run. So here I have given the fast delay. So we don't know whether it is starting or stopping or not. So we just increase the delay for now. I'm stopping. So the problem is we are giving the less amount of delay, so we don't know whether the LED is blinking or not. So just produce some extra delay. Let's make it 1000. And then again run. Just wait a minute. Again, I want to check which LED I'm using right now, whether it is simulated one or not. Yes, this one is active. So if I added this, yes. So here the problem is I have selected this LED just as a device. So as here you can see that if I type LED, so here LED, that means library, it's just a device, okay? So you need to take that active device so that it will be worked on simulation. So then again I have taken this LED, that means it's active, so that it will be working, it will work on simulation. See the LED is blinking. So I have given the a lot much delay. So I am again just going to Atmel Studio. I am just giving 500. Or say 300. And then just build. Okay, everything goes nice. And then again come to Proteus. Stop and then start again. See, the LED is just blinking. Okay, this is how you can use these tools, and we'll go to PCB designing in later classes. Okay, that's all for now, and everyone please practice this thing. So unless and until you can't practice, you won't get a clear idea about the tools. Okay, so in future we'll also work with push buttons using LED, LCD, using different mode projects. So till then, keep practicing.